Hi, my name is Jack Rosinski and I make videos on the internet. Today I wanted to talk about something completely uncontroversial that no one's gonna get mad at me for just saying my basic opinion. Star Wars. Obviously I'm joking. I have security on standby just in case this video ends up on Reddit. The last few years have been amazing for Star Wars fans. The Mandalorian is fantastic. We got an amazing ending to the Clone Wars with one of the best lightsaber battles of all time. And that one character from the original trilogy with only 2 lines finally got a dedicated piece of media. And the future looks even better with Mando Season 3 and Kenobi on the horizon. But I just wanted to remind Star Wars fans, including myself, that if these filmmakers had just put a little bit more work into them, we could have had 3 amazing trilogies of movies. Instead, we got one great one terrible one, and one that I don't even really want to talk about because I can already hear the death threats. And I'm gonna let you guys decide which one is which for those last 2. Because of the death threats. But I'm not just a nerd. I'm a super nerd. So back in the early days of the pandemic when I was dying of boredom and trapped inside, I rewrote my own versions of the prequel and sequel trilogies. And I believe that they are substantially better than what we got. Okay, that might be a little bit overconfident. I like a lot of my ideas, but I don't want to shit on these filmmakers. It's hard enough to get a movie made at all. Imagine making a Star Wars movie, all the pressure and Jesus Christ, I'm cramping up just thinking about it. Clearly, everyone from George Lucas to Rian Johnson to J.J. Abrams to George Lucas again put their heart and soul into these movies, but the final results speak for themselves. So we're going to do 6 videos after this introduction, each one detailing my version of that movie, starting with The Phantom Menace. Except, it won't be called The Phantom Menace, because The Phantom Menace is an absolutely terrible title. You know what? Quick side rant. I hate almost all of the subtitles for the mainline Star Wars movies, and I'm gonna tell you why, film by film. I actually feel for the guy that had to come up with a title for episode 1 because absolutely nothing in that movie stands out enough for it to be the title. But how much does The Phantom Menace even play into the plot? And who is the Phantom Menace? Is it Sidious? Is it Maul? Is it Jar Jar? I'll tell you what it is. It's stupid. Attack of the Clones would be a fine title if the main characters were being attacked by clones. Or if the clones were just in the movie for more than 10 minutes. But instead, the clones are on our side. So it's kind of attacking with the clones, not attack of the clones. Like ObiWan and Anakin aren't being attacked by clones. And calling it Attack of the Clones makes it seem like they're being attacked. But do you understand what I mean? It's stupid, it's a bad movie, we can move on. On the surface, Revenge of the Sith seems like a fine title, except for one very important thing. What are the Sith getting revenge for? I know some of you nerds are going to be able to pull out lore from some old book or something, but I don't give a shit. Palpatine doesn't mention revenge once. I've seen this movie 100 times. Palpatine never mentions revenge. And what would he be getting revenge for? What is Anakin getting revenge for? If anything, Obi-Wan should be getting revenge for Anakin murdering all those fucking children. If anything, it should be called Desperation of the Sith, or Night Terrors of the Sith, or Infanticide of the Sith. The original trilogy subtitles are perfect. Chef's kiss. The Force Awakens is one of those titles that is just too vague. Like, is the Force awakening in this movie? Is that what's happening? Is this referring to Kylo? Rey? Finn? Do I care? No. The Last Jedi is the only subtitle outside of the originals that I unironically like. It makes sense. The Last Jedi plays a huge part in the film. Good job, Ryan. Just like The Force Awakens, is The Rise of Skywalker even describing that movie? Does a Skywalker rise? I guess technically, but it's stupid. It just feels like they did a Mad Libs with an epic sounding verb and a Star Wars word. So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to be giving all of my versions of these movies new titles. So let's quickly run down the major issues I have with these trilogies that I'm going to try to address in my versions. The prequels are a total mess from start to finish, and there is a lot to fix, but the three major points are: Revenge of the Sith is clearly the best of the prequels, and that's because almost everything of note happens in it. You can ignore The Phantom Menace and large chunks of Attack of the Clones and get all of the story you need to understand the prequels. To fix this, we're going to spread the plot points across all three movies, and that includes starting the Clone Wars at the end of Episode 1 so that we get to, actually see it. The Clone Wars animated series may have tricked you into thinking that ObiWan and Anakin have a great relationship in the prequels. They don't. They barely spend any time together, and all we really get in terms of relationship development is them talking about all these great things that they've done together, which is just not how you do character growth, George. So they're only going to be separated in my trilogy when absolutely necessary. They are going to be together for the majority of the time they're on screen, and that includes making Padme the Leia of their trilogy, which I think she was supposed to be, but just kind of wasn't. While there are hints of Anakin's dark side in the first two films of the trilogy, he doesn't even really begin his descent to the Sith until the last film. This comes back to pacing. Anakin needs to be falling to the dark side by the end of Episode 2 so that there's real tension in Episode 3. Also, he needs more motivation than just fridging Padme. He needs to actively support the creation of a galactic empire, otherwise, why is he a super fascist in the original trilogy? I don't think all of the sequels are bad movies, but there's just so much missed opportunity that it's hard to look back on them with anything but sadness. So here's where I think they messed up. The filmmakers needed to come into this trilogy with an idea of what they wanted to do. They didn't. They needed to ask themselves, what are the hanging threads from the first two trilogies that we can weave into a compelling new story? They didn't do that in the original sequel trilogy, but I think I've come up with an idea that makes the sequels feel necessary. Admittedly, the prequels had it easier when it came to characters because they knew where all these characters needed to be by Episode 4. But that doesn't excuse the sheer lack of thought given to Rey, Poe, Finn, and Ben in the sequels. Each one of these characters needed to add something new to the Star Wars universe, and only Finn really ends up doing that in the trilogy. In our version, each of these characters will have an arc that is satisfying and hopefully refreshing. The third trilogy in a saga, like there's been more than one saga with 3 trilogies, it doesn't fucking matter. The third trilogy in a saga needs to complicate the themes of the last 2. Rian Johnson, to his credit, tried to complicate things, but it didn't stick. We need complicated heroes and villains that make us question what came before and also look ahead with excitement. Oh yeah, and we need to give more respect to the legacy characters, which includes giving them arcs like Luke had in The Last Jedi. So, if you hated that, maybe these videos aren't for you. Look, I don't want to hate on any of these movies. I love Star Wars. I love every piece of Star Wars media just because it's Star Wars. I can't help it. I grew up like that. But I think that the trilogies we got were designed more for making money than they were for telling a compelling story. And yes, I know that they are inherently children's adventure films, but that doesn't mean that they have to put aside quality filmmaking. I'm really excited to go on this adventure with you guys. I hope you strap in and stick around because this is where the fun begins.